Hey, it's still too wet out. I've been playing with the drone between downpours, so we're going to go ahead and do a coffee chat and answer some of your questions. So stay tuned. Hello folks, welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. Figured I'd just sit out here, sheltered from the rain for now, and do a coffee chat and answer some of your questions, because when I sit down and type out some of the questions, there's actually a lot more detail in my answers to hopefully explain to you guys the content of the question, to give a full response to the question. And so let's have that coffee chat. Oh, speaking of coffee, this is my coffee mug for Duck in a Cup Productions. These are for sale down below. And I'm afraid they're only available in white. Same way with Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I haven't figured out how to get the coffee cups in different colors yet. I will work on that, and that's an answer to another question I had. Alright. Let's get started. Okay, one of the questions was, and this comes up once in a while, and that's regarding the pond. That pond was up to here when we first moved in 5 years ago. Becky and I cleaned out the pond, and we were right down to the dirt surface, cleaning all the weeds and the garbage out of the pond, and then it filled up. Unfortunately, with the pond filling up over the past 5 years, we've had a lot of sediment flow down the creek and fill into the pond. Now, the pond is only shin deep at best, so it's filled in quite a bit. My plans are, this summer, I'm going to let the pond dry out. I'm going to rent a Bobcat tractor and get in here and dig all the sediment out of the pond, and I'm going to use all of that sediment in the garden. There's a lot of organic material in there, and that's partly why my pond turns green, because of the organic material that's in that pond. So once I get it cleaned out, it will not turn green. So I won't have to put wood ash on it for a while. That's one of my most popular videos too, is just adding a hardwood ash and just spread it over the surface of the pond. What it does is the salts in the ash change the pH balance in the water, and it kills that green stuff. And it works overnight. I'm amazed on how fast it works, but it has to be a hardwood ash. Another question is on if I'm going to stock fish in that pond. Yes. I had fish in the pond before, but they were the little mosquito eaters that I got free from our county's vector control. They offer these little mosquito eating fish for free, and it keeps the mosquito population down, which is a good thing, because we have cases of the West Nile virus that crop up from time to time here in our county, which is not a good thing. But the fish I'm thinking of putting in there are rock lobster, also known as crawdads or crayfish. I'm also going to be placing some bluegill or sunfish in there, and maybe some bass if I can get a hold of some. There is a supplier that I can buy some fish from that I could actually drop in there. Or maybe I can angle them and just transplant them in the pond. I don't know. But the creeks that flow through my property are not navigable creeks. There is no fish life that goes through those creeks at all. It's just tributaries that is runoff from the mountains. And speaking of the creeks, another question was asked about the stream flows. And if I hike up and see the headwaters and make sure that there's it's open and that there's no dams on it. Well, I know that there's no dams on these creeks because these creeks start on the property right next door to me, and it's just a surface water runoff that comes down into these creeks and flows into my pond and across the front of my property and then down and away from the pond or the property. But these are not year-round creeks. It depends on the water year and how much water saturation we have on the ground surface. That determines how long the water flows on these streams, and that's why I determined that it would not be to my advantage to go ahead and develop a hydroelectric power source for my homestead. We're just going to go and stick with what little wind we have, but primarily solar. And I do have been wanting to build a gasifier. Some of you don't know what a gasifier is, but if you go on YouTube and just type in gasifier, you can see some streams of other brilliant YouTubers that have improved and modified the gasifier that was released in an instruction manual by FEMA. That's right. FEMA releases an instruction manual, and I was just on their website the other day, and they've upgraded it. The original was during World War II. They offered how to build your own gasifier because gas was being rationed. And with gasoline being rationed, FEMA came up with this free publication that they would give to you, and you could build this gasifier and attach it to your farm tractor, your farm truck, your personal vehicle, any gasoline internal combustion engine it would work on. And there's very little modification to the engine itself at all, with the exception of just adding a pipe to the air intake, which you're going to get the wood gas into your carburetor to burn. The concept of gasifiers are when you burn wood, the smoke contains gases from the wood that is uncombusted. So what they're doing is they're running that through a cooling system and a filtration system to filter out all the tar and sediment residue out of the smoke. And by the time you get the smoke out at the end of the pipe, it's nothing but gas with a little bit of condensation. That's it, and that's pure gas that will ignite, and it'll run an internal combustion engine. Now, I know some people will run a generator, which is an internal combustion engine, off of wood gas. And all you have to do is just carry a little chainsaw with you, or an electric chainsaw, whatever, and an axe. Grab some wood on the roadside, pump it, drop it in your gasifier hopper, and burn the wood, and go on putting down the road. Remember Back to the Future, where they had the flux capacitor in the DeLorean? And I think it was Back to the Future 2 at the end of 1. Doc flew in and he threw the garbage into the Mr. whatever it is that converted the trash into fuel. Well, same concept, because this is way older than Back to the Future DeLorean stuff. So check that out on YouTube. You know, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant concept, and FEMA had the idea of farmers still being able to run their tractors during the time of rationing. People could still farm and get their products to market, and so people could still eat in spite of the rationing of fuel. So there you go. A couple of you have been asking how the bees are doing. This is the second week I've had the bees. Oh, we've had so much rain, but we've had some nice sunny days, and we're expecting 80-degree weather tomorrow and clearing, so the bees will get out again. They've been doing wonderful. Right now they're clustered in the hive. They're on their third jar of syrup that I've been feeding them, so they're not going hungry. So that is a good sign. And then still on the subject of the beehives, one of my viewers, I hope I answered him sufficiently, but he was concerned about the hive being wide open and not having a entrance reducer on the entrance to the beehive, so the honeybees could better protect their hive. Well, that's appropriate with some apiaries and some climates, but it's not appropriate with other apiaries and climates. For instance, ours, like right now, we're having a lot of moisture. And with a lot of moisture, if you restrict the airflow through the hive, you're going to get condensation in the hive, which is not good for the bees. And what's worse for the bees is with that condensation and the heating days, because you have to really keep an eye on your apiaries and keep an eye on the temperature and weather if you're going to be using entrance reducers. But you're going to get mold set up in there because of the moisture in the hive. So that's not a good thing for the bees. I have 4 hives. Only one is occupied, so I'm not concerned about robbing. And it's been too cold and too wet for other bees to be getting out of their hives and journeying too far away from their apiary. My bees, I have an entrance feeder so they don't have to go too far for the nectar, and I will be sliding in a pollen patty in there probably tomorrow, because as it starts warming up, I want to be able to turn that mechanism on the queen to start laying, and hopefully I gave the bees enough time to be able to draw out some comb and make plenty of comb for storing honey, storing pollen, and also being able for giving the queen cells to be able to lay her brood. So we can look forward to a trip to the apiary this week as I go in and do my first inspection on the bees since I've brought them home. You can hear the rain really coming down on the awning now. Makes for bad sound quality with the camera. I apologize for that, but it is what it is. And I've had several comments on the last video that I did about the birds and the bees. You said it was too quiet. Well, I did dialogue at the beginning of the video and at the end of the video, and then the whole content of the rest of the video was just the sound of nature and farm life here in the mountains. That's how insanely quiet it is around here. It is so peaceful. No distractions, and the pace is just laid back and relaxing. Very therapeutic. And since we're on the subject of sound quality and cameras, I am shooting this episode with my Canon PowerShot S5, not the big Canon XL 1000 or 100. I'm still on a learning curve. It's a professional, very complicated piece of equipment, and the manual's really thick. I have to literally, it's like taking a college class and college exams just to learn all the features and how to run them. And again, getting the lavalier mics to be able to function appropriately and learning where the settings are and should be for volume. Now this camera has 2 channels, so I can run 2 lavalier mics at the same time, one on the left channel and one on the right channel. But coming out, I'm trying to figure out how to get, if it's plugged into the right channel, am I using one lavalier mic? How can I get it to distribute to both channels so it's coming across to you guys like on your computers, your TVs, on both channels, so you're hearing it in both sides and not just one side. So I am working out the details with that. So have patience with me and stay tuned for that. I'm down to that one piglet. It's a little boy. I had somebody expressing interest in him down at the feed store, so we'll see if that culminates into something. Now remind you, I still have that other boar on loan to my buddy over at his farm. There's a 5th grade class that has adopted him throughout the school year. And when school season ends, I assume I'm getting him back. So we probably will end up turning him into ham. We'll see. But I am excited about the baby goats. We're waiting for them to get old enough so I can go over and pick out 2 of them, 2 little dolings, and then we'll bring them over here. Now I've raised the Nubian goats before. We've milked them, we've processed the products and made, well, you just primarily had milk and cheese, and I think I made cottage cheese one time. But that's about it. Now this time I plan on making more products like soaps, lotions, creams, salves, balms, and the different edible food products from the milk. Yeah, I'm really excited about getting into that, and I'm going to be making an electric milking machine. That's why I installed the solar panels on the barn, was for the milking machine primarily. So that is going to be built this summer, and I'll do a how-to video on that so you guys can go out and build your own milking machine that will be suitable for milking a goat, a cow, a camel, whatever you want to milk. Now my neighbor up the road, he does have a camel, one of those 2-hump camels, not a 1-hump dromedary. That's the guy with the elephants. Yeah, interesting, very interesting. Well, that's about it. Trying to answer your guys' questions fully. I'm sorry I haven't been getting back prompt with the answers. I wanted to remind you guys that I am having a contest. I am giving away a free laptop computer to those who have watched at least 1,000 videos on my channel and commented on each one of those 1,000 videos. I will take and select all of those who have commented 1,000 times or on 1,000 videos, and I will put their names into a hat, and we will draw from that hat on May the 18th, 2019 to determine who is the winner and who gets the gift of a free laptop computer on May 18th. Thank you for all of those who have been participating in this. I launched this contest back in, I believe, is October or November, so there's plenty of time to watch and do everything. But right now there's less than a month, and I doubt that you guys can see 1,000 videos. But anyway, there's a lot of people who have a good start. I've hit some milestones with my channel. I've gotten almost 25,000 subscribers. That's phenomenal. I remember just last year I was elated. I hit 10,000, and just in less than a year I got 15,000 more in addition to that, and I've been producing YouTube videos for the past 4.5 years. It's funny how things work out, and it goes exponentially faster. And the views, man, I have over 2 million views, or 1.5 million views, I think. I can't remember how much I have. Wow. But thank you guys for watching. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. This is Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. We're a soggy homestead in the Cascade Ranges of the Pacific Northwest here in southwestern Oregon. Please stay tuned for more videos. You could do that by subscribing and also clicking that bell icon, which alerts you to new videos as I upload them. Helping out our channel greatly, you could just click that thumbs up button and leaving a comment. I try to get back to your comments as quickly as possible. And also sharing our videos on other social media platforms really helps spread the news that we are here, and this is content that more people might be interested in that wouldn't otherwise be aware that we are here. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Reddit, Blogger, Instagram, Snapchat, and what is it? LinkedIn. That's it. We'll see you guys again in more videos. Bye-bye.